What the hell is Tom Brady doing? We know he's playing football this year. But after that vanity golf match the other night with him and Aaron Rodgers and Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, they did like a little roundtable discussion that nobody saw live, apparently, because things about it were trickling out yesterday. And the thing that trickled out about Tom Brady, and this came from Rick Stroud of the Tampa Bay Times, he said to Ernie Johnson, at this stage, it's like 55% yes and 45% no as to playing. That's just the reality. It's not that I'm not 100% committed. It's just as soon as I make the commitment to do it, it's like, ugh, all right, here we go. It's like running a marathon. You can't decide 2 weeks before the marathon, hey, I'm going to start running. We got right to free agency, and I felt some pressure to do it and talk to the team and organization, and it all worked out. I felt some pressure to do it. He knew he had to make a decision. They were going to find somebody else to play quarterback. And you know what I think it came down to, because I thought at one point maybe his end game was wait for the Buccaneers to find somebody else, then it's easier for him to get to another team. The problem is, where was the other viable spot where he was confident he could pursue a championship? The Dolphins thing, which plenty of people out there still want to plug their ears and shout Serenity Now over. The Dolphins thing was real. That fell apart with the Brian Flores lawsuit. And then where else was he going to go? Where else was there a spot where he could walk through the door and have a competitive team that could contend for a championship, and the Bucs were going to move on without him? He had to make a decision. He made the decision to come back, and as he said, if we can believe him, because he's also said 90% of the time he doesn't say what he really thinks. So 90%, 100%, 55, 45, but he says he's 55 yes, 45 no. It just makes you wonder, is this really the last year for Tom Brady? Because if it's that close, it's not going to take much to tip it the other way, Peter.
Yeah, Mike, I think if you look back on the timing of this, okay, just remember the big moment for Tom Brady, I believe, is when he basically called Ryan Jensen, and whatever the conversation was, but the upshot of the conversation was right before Ryan Jensen was making the decision, should I stay or should I go? You know, I believe that Ryan Jensen probably would have gone to Cincinnati if that weekend Tom Brady didn't call him and say, hey, listen, I'm coming back, are you in? Or words to that effect. And I think at that moment, Brady knew he had already lost, 2 guards, and he was about to lose, or perhaps, very good chance, lose his center. And if he then lost all 3 interior offensive linemen and had to make that up from scratch, along with maybe not having either O.J. Howard was going to be gone, Gronk, who knows, Chris Godwin, probably not there at the start of the season. Who the heck am I going to war with? So he had a finite deadline that if he really wanted to do this, he had to do it when he did it.
Yeah, and you got to be all in, and he's right. You can't start training for the marathon 2 weeks before the marathon begins, and it really makes you wonder about next year. He's got that $37.5 million bird in the hand with Fox whenever he wants to start working there. The question I think is going to come down to, is there a spot where he thinks he can go and have a reasonable shot at number 8, or as the case may be, number 9, depending upon what happens this year with the Buccaneers. And I think that is what's going to drive him. And I'm not being critical of him either. He's going to go somewhere where he thinks the deck is stacked in his favor. And if it's not stacked in his favor, why bother at 45 going on 46? So, we have to approach each year for Tom Brady going forward as the last year of his career, even though he doesn't want a farewell tour. And this could be the last year. Next year could be the last year. Who knows how much longer he'll go. But I think as long as he thinks he has a reasonable shot at adding to his haul of Super Bowl championships, he will at least consider the possibility. Because the one thing he wants to avoid, and he's said this, and now that he's going to actually be calling games, it's going to torment him even more. It's not like he can disappear and wall himself off from football for a year or two. He never wants to watch a game and think, those guys suck, I can do better than they are. So that, with him going to Fox, is an added element in his mindset as to how much do I want to put myself through this potential torment that I'm watching these guys play when I know I could put the helmet on and go out there right now and be better than those stiffs.
Mike, I want to take this about 108 degrees to the side right now and just say one thing about Brady, the broadcaster. And that is this. So when he signed with Fox and Andrew Marchand reported this huge contract with Fox, it just got me to thinking, okay, like we never really thought of Brady as a guy who was going to do broadcasting. At least I never did, okay? So now that he is going to do broadcasting, what path should he take there? So I called a bunch of people in the industry, and one really smart guy said, Tom Brady owes it to his future to take 3 hours every week this year and watch as many broadcast crews as he can. And he should listen to Charles Davis with Ian Eagle. He should listen to Aikman with Joe Buck. He should listen to Collinsworth and Mike Tirico. He should listen to Kirk Herbstreit with Al. And when he does that, he should watch and he should say, I like that. I don't like that. I think I'm going to do that. I'm not going to do that. And he should really go to school. The one thing I've heard people say, oh, geez, he's boring. He's never going to be good on TV. I think Tom Brady is going to be good on TV. Will he be great? I don't know. A lot of TV, as you know, Mike, is just instantaneous cleverness and reaction, plus having the guts to be what Chris Collinsworth was on the goal line in the Seattle-New England Super Bowl when he said, and I quote, 7 seconds after the Malcolm Butler interception, I'm sorry, I do not like that call. There are going to be times when you are going to have to, you're all friendly with Pete Carroll. You're friendly with Darrell Bevell and Russell Wilson and all the people on the Seattle team. And you're friendly and you like them and they like you. You get along. But you know what? Sometimes you're going to have to fricassee people with 90 million people watching in the United States. That's all there is to it. Then and only then will we know if Brady can be great. Can he fricassee people? Because you have to in that business. But I just think as far as preparation goes, this is a long ramble, talk show-ish answer. But Tom Brady needs, in my opinion, to really, he shouldn't just retire and then say, okay, I'm going to start studying these guys. He's got to start thinking about it now. And if I were him, just spend 3 hours a week, watch a different telecast. And that's my 108-degree veer off to the right.
And I agree with you completely. And he's got to be willing to show personality, and he's got to be willing to say things that are critical in a way that doesn't create some big mess for him. And look, you either have it or you don't. Comedy is hard. And I didn't watch the match the other night. I had no interest in watching football players golf. I have no interest in watching golfers golf, for crying out loud. Why would I
agree with you. Those two sentiments I could have said.
But apparently, and I saw this from Jimmy Traina of SI.com, apparently Brady spent the whole time making fat jokes about Josh Allen, who isn't fat, first of all, and second of all, there's nothing worse than a guy who is like in your face about his diet, making fun of people he thinks is fat. So hopefully he's got more clubs in his bag than that when it's time to start doing games, So I just thought it was odd. And again, I didn't hear any of it, but I saw the snippets that Jimmy Traina was talking about, or I read about it. And it's just kind of weird because it's not like Josh Allen is Billy Joe Tolliver, for crying out loud. I mean, it was just strange to me that would be the thing that Tom Brady tried to use to get under Josh Allen's skin.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.